One thing you have to be aware of, sharks that could be lurking in the water. We finally were able to get Chris Lowe, the director of the Cal State Long Beach Shark Lab, back with us. Thanks so much for hanging around, working through those tech issues. We had that appearance along the California coast of what I believe was a great white shark, closing down the beach in response to that. With this being the first couple of months of folks heading out to the beach across the country, does this early shark sighting potentially hint at a sharky summer?
Yeah, morning, Haley. It really does. This is the sort of thing that we saw in 2015, where we had a strong El Nino and the blob in the Pacific Northwest coincide. So that blob is those marine heat waves that we occasionally get, and it's been really unusually warm for this time of year. And the last time we saw that, we had a lot of sharks off Southern California beaches.
What's so interesting is whenever you have a strong front that comes in, for us humans, we can sometimes get sick. We have this response. What is like a shark response to warmer waters and in the role of El Nino throughout where they maybe migrate to and where they hang out for the summer season?
Well, I think what happens in Southern California in the spring is that warm water makes it very productive. We get a lot of plankton, that results in a lot of bait fish, that results in a lot of food for sharks. So actually, that's a good thing. The problem is down south in Baja, that water actually gets too warm for those sharks and they move up north. And we've been seeing this progressively north movement. And in fact, in 2015, we found baby white sharks for the very first time in Monterey Bay. So these we view as signs of climate change, and whether people believe it or not, the sharks sure do. Right. And they keep moving north to try to find cooler temperatures, especially during these marine heat waves.
Do you think that there's a specific breed of shark that has a better response to this warmer temperature that we would maybe find more frequently off our coastlines, given an El Nino year?
Well, right now, we think white sharks are the ones that are benefiting from our current climate. They're actually doing quite well, but there are some species that may not like it this warm and are moving further north. So I think right now what we're seeing overall are more sharks off our coast, mainly because we've done a better job at managing our fisheries and populations are recovering. But the question is, if it keeps getting warmer and warmer, will they be able to tolerate those temperatures? And if they get moved north, will there be food for them?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the latest trends and where these sharks are going and the food source. It's all intertwined together. Something that I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. There's a study online where sharks in the Bahamas were testing positive for caffeine, painkillers, and even cocaine. There was a popular movie, I think it was Cocaine Bear, that was showing what some of these illicit drugs could do, and that was almost in like a post-apocalyptic world, it felt like. But talk a little bit about maybe how these sharks are ingesting these types of chemicals, what this could mean potentially for their migration habits, their breeding habits, and are they potentially more aggressive to us humans along the beach line?
So in places like Southern California that are highly urbanized and fairly industrial, we do have a lot of those contaminants that go into the ocean and do get into the food chain. And of course, sharks being at the top of the food chain have a tendency to acquire a lot of those. So we wouldn't be surprised to find many of our pharmaceuticals in some of the sharks that are along our coast. We know that compounds like DDT and PCBs, which are known to be highly toxic, are also in high concentrations in some of these sharks. But what's really interesting is some of those species don't seem to show ill effects, and we're not really sure how they deal with that. In fact, they could really probably teach us a lot about how these really primitive animals can tolerate some of these high concentrations of things that would normally be really toxic to mammals.
Interesting. I always love learning about marine life, but sharks especially. So we had a pretty sharky summer last year, I believe, a few shark bites along the Florida coast. So hopefully that's not the trend for this year. But real quick, before I let you go, do you have any advice for people who are heading to the beach on ways to stay safe in the water? And if they do see a shark, what they can do in order to warn people around them?
Great question. And we often talk to people about ways to stay safe. So we know statistically that if you're in a group, your chances of being bitten are less than if you're by yourself. So always stay in a group. Swim and surf at guarded beaches. Lifeguards, some of our lifeguards are the best in the world. So if anything should happen, there are people there to help you. And they're very knowledgeable about the marine life off your beach as well. So dawn and dusk are times when we know sharks are more active. These are places where you want to be more careful. When you're out in the water, the visibility is less. Animals might make mistakes. And of course, the other thing is avoid dead things. If there are dead things floating around the water, those are free meals for sharks, and you don't want them to think you're competing with them for that dead whale.
Yeah, I think I'm always going to lose that fight against a shark, especially a great white. But Chris Lowe, thank you so much for sharing some insight on sharks, their behavior, and how weather can be all tied into this. That's the director of the Cal State Long Beach Shark Lab. Chris, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's not salt.